Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Dear Work Wives, helping you create work cultures that don't suck as much.
Hopefully.
That
That's the goal.
is the goal. Adrian and Emily here. And we've got three stories that are storying. So
Yes. I'm
but
really
before
excited.
that,
Before that, we have to do a check-in
I saw
because
Barbie.
you saw Barbie and I'm going to see Barbie today. So,
Yeah, so no spoilers, but
but it was
it was really good.
enjoyable. Good.
It's very like on Dear Work Wives brand too.
Oh, maybe we'll have to talk about it on the next
Yeah.
episode. Even though by the time that airs, we'll be like so far behind. Everyone will have seen Barbie. Like, I really don't care.
Yeah, but how long what is the statute of limitations on spoilers for you? Like, how long
Mm.
before you can just like openly start talking about a movie or a show? And if the person didn't see it, like it's their fault at that point. What's the
So I
length?
think for TV shows, it's a week.
Oh,
Like,
wow. Okay.
you've had a week, and this comes as someone who like really only watches TV on the weekends. So I appreciate people giving me a couple days of grace to catch up on a show.
Yeah.
I think for movies, I I think it's kind to say like spoiler alert or have you seen it? And if you haven't, then to just not. But now with how quickly they come out to streaming services, once it hits that streaming service, all bets are off, is my opinion.
Yeah. So like if we're talking about like Princess Diaries, like
Right.
you're allowed to like give a spoiler on
Oh
that.
my gosh, yeah, because it's been out for forever.
I've
But
never
current
seen it though.
movies, you've never seen Princess Diaries?
No.
Oh my God. Well, that's what we're gonna have to do when we're in Denver at the end of the month after we're peopled out is find Princess Diaries.
I know it came up
And
the other day. I was with one of my mom friends and she like quoted some, I don't know what we were talking about. She like quoted something from Princess Diaries. And I was like, never seen it. She's like,
Lila
what?
has seen it.
I
Get it
know it's like
together,
a
Adrian.
classic. I
It's a
know.
classic.
But that's what I'm saying. Like for classics, or like we're just allowed to give spoilers
Oh, but it is
or
because it's not a spoiler anymore, you
oh,
know?
yeah. That's
You've
what I'm
had,
wondering. Like, what
yeah,
is the statute of limitations on a spoiler? I don't know
no.
the answer.
For TV shows that drop weekly or even drop multiple episodes at a time, it's a week. That's my opinion. And movies are once it's out of the theater. If you really cared that much about the plot of this movie, you would I mean, I'm being very privileged, but you would go see it in the movie theater, you
Yeah.
know?
Even though it costs like $100 now to go to the movie theater.
Does the
Was
movie
that
cost
quote?
$100 or does the snacks cost $100?
Well, last night I didn't even get snacks because we like ran out of the house late and we got to the theater. I had to pee because I
You
was like
do.
chaotic running around the house. I didn't
Yeah.
get to pee before I left. So we got there. I was like, Tyler, you stand in line for my snacks. I had already told him what I wanted. And then by the time I got out of the bathroom, like he had not moved an inch. And so I was like, abandon the snack mission. We got to get into the movies. I don't want to
Oh
miss the
no.
beginning. So no snacks for us. So we saved a bunch of money.
That's a bummer.
But I was like very parched.
100%. I can't,
Oh,
you've never seen me more than
then
2 seconds without having a drink.
okay, then so not only that, like normally I bring my own water bottle, like I'm all
Yeah.
set to go, but I just did not have time yesterday. Like the movie started at 6:40. We were literally running out of the house at 6:37.
Oh, okay.
Like
Yeah.
our plan was to miss the previews anyways, but there's this like really, you got to get there right in the window
Yes.
of okay, the previews are done, but I'm not missing the beginning of the
100%.
movie.
Yeah.
So normally I bring my water bottle, all my snacks with me. Didn't have time for any of that. So I was like, okay, get me a drink, get me these cookie dough bites, whatever. Didn't get any of that.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, no worries. I'll just have a drink of water from this water fountain on the way to the theater, like on the way to our theater. We're already
Right.
in the movie theater, right?
Yes.
Like
Yeah. Yeah.
snack mission has been abandoned, but I'm parched. So at least I'm just going to drink from this faucet.
Mm-hmm.
They were both like non-working. I'm like, I tried them both. I was like, no. And you know when like that happens, then you're like even more parched for some
Right.
reason.
Then it's all you can think about is how thirsty you are.
Yes. Yes.
Well,
And I
I
just
don't
suffered
think they've
through.
turned water fountains back on here since COVID.
And maybe not here either, but I was like,
Yeah.
a water fountain. And
Yeah.
then all my dreams and hopes got ripped away from me.
I think the ones where you like can put the bottle
Oh, the
in and
bottle
it's
underneath.
that,
Yeah.
but I have not seen a functioning water fountain where you like put your mouth on it since COVID.
Yeah. There's one at
So.
Kit's like dance studio that she can put her mouth on, like that she
Yeah.
can go up to. But other than that, I've never seen a working one.
Wild. Well, I'm really sorry because I know that would have been excruciating for you.
It was excruciating, but I powered through and I somehow got distracted once the movie started and I was fine.
Yeah. Well, I can't wait to go see it. I will be having snacks though. I will time myself.
Learn from my mistakes, okay?
I will.
You
I
need
always
snacks.
do.
Yeah. You definitely need snacks.
Yeah. So that's exciting. Cool.
Yeah.
And it's August, which means that I have listened to August by Taylor Swift. It's August 2nd at 10 a.m. as of recording. I've listened to August by Taylor Swift 5,000 times in the past 24 hours. Every single TikTok video, every single Instagram reel is August. And I'm obsessed because it's in my top 10 favorite songs. So I'm really happy right now.
It's here. August is
so
here.
Good. There's just like no better. I cannot wait to do my end of August recap Instagram reel with the song. Like, I just can't wait. It's the best.
Is that your favorite Taylor Swift song or just top 10?
It's top 10. I have a really hard time picking a favorite because there's so many genres and moods, you know?
Yeah.
Some of them, like if I want to cry, then there's like new favorites, nostalgic favorites, like Fearless. Oh my God, I can't, you know what I mean? So I don't know. I can't pick a favorite. I just have favorites for my moods.
Yeah. I feel that. Last night at the end of the movie, I really like Billie Eilish, and I could tell like the one of the last songs in Barbie was by Billie Eilish. And I was like, Billie, and I looked it up afterwards and I was like, oh my God, I love this song. And
the really sad, poignant one, right?
Yeah. And Tyler was like, when we got home, he's like, okay, now go in the bed and like listen to your songs until you cry. Like he knows that like some music you just listen to because you just want to feel the feels and cry yourself.
100%. That's how I feel about so many songs, you know?
Yeah.
Like when I'm having a rough day with my children, I put on The Best Day and Never Grow Up so that I can remember that I actually love them. So, I mean, obviously I love them, but when the days are hard, I put on those songs. I'm like, oh, right. This is the good old days. I'm in them. Just
Yep.
Shake it off.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're going to love Barbie.
Great.
Oh, and you're going to bawl. I bawled twice, like shaking, crying, like,
oh my God, I can't wait.
It's not me, as you know. So you're really going to lose it.
Oh my gosh. Shut up.
Don't wear any makeup is what I'm saying.
I already have makeup on because we have a training today. So I guess I'll have to wipe it off before I go.
Yeah. Or you'll just look like one of those Barbies that has makeup running down their face.
Does Kit play with Barbies yet?
No, not really. Like she's had a couple because of hand-me-downs from her niece. But we haven't like bought her a Barbie or anything like that. She is really into like baby dolls, but I don't know if she's ready for Barbie dolls yet. Yeah.
Lila has already outgrown them.
Oh no.
The phase is short, you know?
Yeah.
She's moved on to reading and bracelet making.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, really sometimes if like a bunch of friends come over, she'll play Barbie, you know what I mean? But it's not like she's sitting on her own playing Barbies by herself, you know, like I used to as a kid. So
yeah, I think you'll let her watch the movie then.
Okay.
But I think she won't understand a lot of it. But
I also like didn't want to go with her. Like call me evil, but I was like, I just want to go with my girlfriends.
No, I think you need to go with your girlfriends and then
eventually take her.
Yeah, or just show her once it's out, obviously on streaming. But
totally.
Yeah, it was cool. Great. I think your hubby would like it too. Tyler went with me and he loved it too.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Did he feel any feelings?
Oh, yeah.
I'm trying to get James to feel some feelings, so maybe I'll
he was feeling the feelings. Like,
well, feelings beyond happiness. My husband feels only the happy feelings.
Oh, whenever I'm crying in the theater, I don't know why, but I need to look at Tyler and like see if my emotions are correct.
Right.
Am I crying? Like, you're crying too, right?
Yeah.
And of course, he's like, stop looking at me.
I love it.
Yeah.
James does cry in movies a lot, actually.
Yeah.
Like when people die or when parents are sick kids, it gets him. Sick parents or sick kids. Oh no, game over for him. Which is fair, you know.
Totally.
Yeah.
Should we story?
Let's do it. Okay. So the first story that I have is submitted by Hiring Red Flags. They ask, I'm applying for jobs and some of the application questions are feeling icky to me. Questions like, what has stopped you in the past from hitting your income goal? What's the most you've ever made? How much do you want to make? Is it just me, or are these red flags, or what other red flags should I watch out for?
First, I want to know more information. Like, is this like a traditional employee role? Is this a contracted role? Like, I'm just curious about the actual structure of this role because they are kind of odd questions to me, but they could, okay, I could see this going both ways, right? Like, what has stopped you in the past from hitting your income goal? Probably some
The
asshole
economy.
employer, yeah, like who didn't pay me enough. Like,
Yeah.
what do you mean? Like,
Yeah.
that is an odd question, I think,
Right.
for sure. What's the most you've ever made? Also an odd question.
Like none of your business is what
Yeah, I don't think
what
that's
that
an
answer is.
appropriate question for, because it's kind of irrelevant, you know, like it
Right.
doesn't really matter what I've made in the past.
Yeah.
It needs more, like, to me, if you're going to ask that question, it needs so much more context to even be helpful, important, relevant. And even then, like, I don't think it
Right.
matters.
Like, what if the
And,
most
like,
I'd
how
ever
much do
made
you
is like,
want to make? I think that, like, it could be helpful, but who doesn't want to make like as much
as possible?
as possible? But I think that, again, it needs context. It needs someone to be able to say, of course I want to make as much as possible, but I'm willing to put in the work, or I'm willing to like grow my way. That, like, I don't know how that gives the employer any important information on this person, you
Right.
know? So to me, yeah, major red flags. Maybe the person hasn't really thought through these questions, but I don't like them. I don't know.
Yeah.
What do you,
As someone who
even
would
as
be
an employer, I'm like, I would never ask these questions. And they don't tell me anything about you as an employee. If anything, like, it just feels gross. Yeah.
right. Like, I want to make $1 million.
Yeah. But that doesn't mean I'm not willing to work here for $100,000 or
Yeah,
whatever.
$50,000. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I think so. At Run the Clockwork, we used to do job applications where we said, like, what's your salary range that you were looking for? And then we did work with DEI consultants and learned that that's actually like not an equitable way, and it's more equitable to just put the salary range that you are going to be paying this future employee right on the application.
Yep.
You can say like based on experience or whatever, but you need to put, this is, you know, the minimum, and this is the cap that we can pay for this position right now.
Yeah.
Because it does, you know, there are tiers of compensation, you know, that it will allow
like the
people
value
to
or experience you bring.
exactly.
Yeah.
It'll allow people to self-select out. Maybe it's an advanced position. Maybe it's multi six figure and they're like, oh, I'm not ready for that yet. Or maybe they're beyond that and it's, you know, a starter position and it has a starter salary that goes with it. And so I'm definitely coming at it from that lens of like, it's just really like unless there was a question that was, this is what we can afford and what do you want to make and how would you help our company grow to get to that kind of thing. But even that is like a really convoluted way of asking, how are you going to help our company grow, or what strategies do you have, or what experience do you
like
have?
just ask that.
Exactly.
That's what you're trying to get at. That's what I'm like, as an employer, I'm trying to understand, like, what are they trying to learn by asking these questions? Like, are they trying to learn how little they can pay you? Like,
exactly.
are they trying to learn that you have really low self-esteem,
or low
are they
standard?
trying to like, what are they trying to learn about you? Because it seems real sketchy to me. I don't understand what their motive is behind these questions. So
as an employee,
I'm out, or I'm communicating on the application that these are inappropriate questions. I don't understand how this helps you understand if I'm a good fit for this role.
Right. Like, as an employee, I'm always terrified, or in the past, I haven't applied for jobs in a very long time, but I was always terrified to answer that question because I don't want to lowball myself. Like, maybe you're going to pay $70K and I'm currently making 50, so I'm going to ask for 55 and I just lost $15,000 for no reason.
Which is what they want you to do.
100%. Or I'm going to overshoot and then I'm not going to be, because I'm trying to overcompensate for that. I'm like, oh, I want 80,000. And then they don't even they don't even look
back.
at me when I would have taken 70, based on the entire compensation package kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I just think it's such an icky place to put employee. And then many employers are always saying, everyone's just motivated by money. No fucking sorry. No shit. We're motivated by money. We have to pay our bills. Like,
yeah, we live in a
and we need to know
society, so
if we're going to make enough money to pay our bills, to pay our childcare, to all the things, right? So it's not that people are motivated by money, but money makes the world go around. And so it's
just like a requirement. Yeah. It's like we have to have some sort of standards around money just based on our expenses and how we live and how we want to live.
Like making more money.
I think they're really inappropriate. And and to your point of like that question in general of like, how much do you want to make or whatever? It's a power move. It's a power play by the company, right? Yeah. Like, let's see, like, are they going to lowball themselves? Great. Like, are they, because whoever says the number first loses in terms of negotiation power, right? Like that's just the truth. So they're trying to get you to say a number when in actuality, the most equitable way for them to hire is to say, like you said, like, this is the range or this is the salary, because it's not dependent on your self-esteem or your past experiences or the color of your skin. It's literally based on this is what we can afford, the role, and how much we value this role, regardless of who you are, what you look like as a person. And anyone who's not doing that is creating inequitable hiring practices. And, I think when you know better, you hopefully do better. So hopefully maybe this is also an opportunity for people that are doing this to recognize, oh, maybe I should not do that. Or maybe there's a better way for me to ask questions that are helpful. These are not helpful questions. So.
No. And I think it's a good reminder for employees, if you're posting a salary range, like a 30, 40, and you're like, I'm not getting like the caliber of candidates. Well, it's because maybe the caliber of candidates you need are making $80,000 to $100,000.
Right.
And it's totally fine that you can't afford that. That's totally fine. But that's what the market value is for what you want. So it's not like I can go into the grocery store and say, well, I'm only going to pay $2 for this steak, even though it's priced at $10. It's not how it works. It's, So anyway, red flags. Personally, I would, if you're really into, if this was like a left field kind of red flag, I would ask them about it in the interview. If you really are curious about this position. Personally, I would ask them about it too. I feel like if that's a red flag, there's probably more. I don't know. It depends on a lot of factors if I would continue my application, but I would definitely ask them about it.
I would ask them, even if you're not interested, just because maybe there's also a learning opportunity for them, right?
Yeah.
Like maybe they don't even recognize that these are really inappropriate questions. And obviously that's not your responsibility to like teach them anything, but out of my own curiosity, can you ask them and then follow up with us?
Right. What are they trying to learn from that question?
What are they trying to learn?
Right. It's like that story we said in the past, how if you're being harassed and you just ask them to dumb it down and say it like unironically, if you what are you trying to learn from that question?
Yeah.
Trying to learn how little I'll pay myself. I want to be paid. Accept. Yeah.
What's the motivation of this question? Or like, what's the...
Yeah. Anyway, good luck.
It may also like intrigue them enough about you to be like, oh, maybe this is our person, right? Like they're really
progressive.
Yeah.
They're not, direct. They ask the hard-hitting questions.
So my husband always says like, can't hurt, might help, sure is a crowd pleaser, Can't hurt to ask, might help to ask. And either way, it'll please us if you do. So
all right, let us know. Okay, the next one is submitted by Time Off Timmy. Love that. My company was closed for July 4th this year, which was a Tuesday, and made the decision to also close on Monday, the 3rd. I was excited for a long weekend until they told us we would have to use our personal PTO for that Monday. We already have limited PTO, and I would have rather saved that day for a future vacation, but they're telling me I have to use it on the Monday. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, this already happened, but
right. Just out of curiosity, because potentially it can happen again too,
right.
right?
Because next year, July 4th is on a Wednesday or something, right?
Yeah.
Or Thursday, or I don't know. Leap year. It's a
So legally, I don't
no.
know like
Yeah.
if they're allowed to do this. So like we got to look that up first,
Yeah.
right? Like it sounds very sketchy to me as an employer. It's just something morally and ethically I would never do to my team. Like if we're closed, I'm not making
On what would standard be a working day?
yeah, that I'm not making you take paid time off. Like that seems bizarre just from a personal perspective, but from a
Yeah.
legal perspective, I'm unsure. So I would say like look that up in your state. Like, is that something that is even legit for them
Right.
to do,
It
to
probably
force you to
is.
take paid time off when
Yeah.
they are deciding to close?
Yeah.
I guess I guess it could be legit because well, I just like why don't they just say it's closed and we're not paying you, but you don't also need to use
PTO.
PTO? Oh, I guess you're saying like you could just not get paid for our day closed
Yeah.
and not take your PTO,
Right.
but then you're not getting paid,
But then you're not getting
right?
paid. Yeah. Because they're
Okay.
choosing to close on like a non-federal holiday.
So I could kind of that sounds legal then. That kind of
Yeah.
sounds legit. Um it sucks, right?
Yeah.
Because you're like, "Oh, I wanted to be working. I'm available to be working, especially because
Right.
it doesn't even sound like they gave them much advanced warning either. They were just like, then they made the decision to close on Monday the 3rd.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, well, I could have gone out of town or something if I
Yeah.
had known. Yeah.
It's tough. Like when I worked at a resort, we had an annual closure every year from like January 2nd. And then the closure depended on how much work the resort needed, how many upgrades. Some years it was 6 weeks and closed. And some years
Unpaid
it
for you.
unpaid for me, but you knew a year in
Right.
advance. So people would go home
Get other
or they
jobs.
would be eligible for if it was a really long time, they'd be
Unemployment or
eligible for
something.
unemployment or something like that to kind of tide
Okay.
them over. But sometimes it was like 6 days, some years it was like 6 days they were closed because they were just doing some minor touch-up things.
Yeah.
And a lot of people would just plan to take their vacation at that time of year,
Right.
go home, visit family, that kind of thing, because you couldn't take vacation in the summer because it was a resort town. But yeah, it was unpaid now that I think about it. I think when I first read this, I'm coming through the lens of like Clockwork would never. It just doesn't feel right because it's one day,
Right. It's just
It's
like
one
give it to
day.
them, but and you decided to close, not them. But
Right.
I originally was also on that side. I was like, they should never force you to take a PTO. But now that I think about it more, I'm like, okay, they're not actually forcing you to take a PTO, but they're saying you're not going to get paid on the day that we're closed.
Right.
We've decided to close. So like
Yeah.
you're just not getting paid that day.
Yeah.
I think it's more to me about like the planning. How much notice are they giving you? Because
Right.
people plan for like how much money they're making every week or
Yeah.
every month. And if they're not knowing that way in advance, I think that's really unfair. And
Yeah.
then they would have to take their PTO. And if they've already planned for other PTO,
Other things. Yeah.
then
Like there are some people, like you've said, only get 5 days of PTO a year.
yeah, that was me in my corporate job. And we didn't get like Christmas
Stats
Eve
or
or
yeah.
we didn't get like a lot of holidays either. So we really had to use it if you
Yeah.
really wanted those days
So I
off.
think it's like a morally gray. Like they're not doing anything wrong. For one day, I wouldn't do it. I would be like, enjoy an extra long weekend on me,
Yeah.
And if I really couldn't afford that, then I would give them the option to go and work. Like, okay, then come clean the office.
Right.
Like
Something productive here.
something productive. Maybe they can't do customer or client work, but can they, do some filing? Can they clean anything? Like if you really want to work, come scrub the floor with a toothbrush. Like not really but you know what I mean? Like we've got some deep, deep, deep things to do that we never have time to do.
Yeah, like maybe there's some projects that could have been given to people who did want to work and make some money if they really needed to make money and they didn't have PTO saved up
Yeah.
for that random day that you decided you were
Yeah.
going to close. So,
But I would be annoyed if I was the employee, but I also, as from the employer's perspective, like, you're not doing anything wrong. I just think
yeah,
it's
just kind of
not
sucks.
great either.
Yeah.
If it's like a week long and it's like, okay, everyone, just plan your life accordingly. This is like, we're closed. If you want to take your holiday for this week, do it. If not, like,
Right.
we're closed and you're not going to
You're
get
not getting
paid, but you
paid.
get 6, 7, 8, 9 months notice of that. That's different.
And you're
in my
getting
opinion.
these like extra days off. They're unpaid, but
Yeah.
do what you want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we're just
we
kind of left that
decided
one.
that like we're kind of on the fence on that one. But
Yeah. No one's right and no one's wrong.
The communication lead time, I think, is what's most important for planning purposes. Like, if you're going to do that, just give people as much notice as you possibly can so that they can plan for their finances and their vacations, you know?
Yeah. Okay. Do you want to read this last one?
Sure.
Okay.
Better boundaries, Bob. Okay. So it says, my husband, Bob, just hired a new sales guy who left a competing company to come over and work for him. And the guy is extremely qualified and smart, but I think he's pushing the boundaries of a respectful boss to direct report relationship, specifically around what I like to call, quote unquote, power texting, these long messages and or texting outside of regular business hours. For example, this new sales guy sent him a text on Saturday this past weekend asking about his paycheck and some sort of comment around not being able to get leads, and then ending the text with something like, do you want me to fail?
Yikes.
The bigger topic here, I think, is the boundaries and best practices around texting directly to your boss or your boss to you. Is it appropriate if your phones are not part of your paid work plan? Also, setting clear boundaries and expectations around communication. Personally, I think Bob has a hard time setting boundaries and clear expectations with people that he works with. He's too accessible all the time. And when these sales guys text him whenever they want and say whatever they want, and then he responds, it doesn't set the expectation of, hey, this is inappropriate. Don't text these things. Call me for them. It just creates more wasted time and energy and even more misinterpretation. What are your thoughts?
I have lots of thoughts. So, do you have an internal communication tool that is not texting and people have the ability to disconnect from? So, for example, our team uses Slack. You can have Slack on your phone, and I go through phases of having it on my phone and taking it off my phone depending on life. Like, if I have a really wild personal schedule, I have Slack on my phone so that I can answer questions during the day. But in other seasons, I don't have it on my phone because when I'm not at my computer, I'm not working. Yeah. So if you have that ability to use another communication platform that isn't a text message, I think that is 100% best practice when it comes to jobs where people are using their phones for a lot of communication. I think you could also consider having phones in a work plan if you really want to be able to set boundaries.
Yeah, I think the key here for me is like, where do we want this sales guy to be communicating with you? Is it a phone? Is it a work phone? Is it email? Is it Slack? Is it Voxer? Like, what is, what is Bob's preferred communication for his team? And has he established that with his sales guys, with his team? Because it sounds like at some point he maybe gave his personal phone number.
Right.
And then the sales guy took that as like, I'm just going to message you whenever I want, which is I think is inappropriate, but also the sales guy maybe didn't have clear boundaries and expectations set for him. So he might be looking at this as like, oh, like the way I'm going to advance is to show Bob that like I go above and beyond. And
I work 2-4-7. Yeah.
And like Bob clearly doesn't want that, but he's never communicated that. Yeah. Right. Like it's actually giving him negative points, whereas the sales guy might think that it's like helping him stand out or helping him look like he has good work ethic. And it's like, well, we need to establish, where do you want him to communicate? And let's set that boundary. If there's no clear communication channel right now, we need to create one. Like you're saying, like, is it going to be Slack? Is it going to be email? Is it going to be do we need
WhatsApp,
to get
Voxer? But
Yeah, like
I think it should never be your personal cell phone number. I don't think that
agree.
that's ever the answer, ever.
Ever, because it's just, yeah, because then you can't turn it off.
You
Like you
can't set a
can't,
boundary then.
yeah. And like I was thinking about, oh, I have, I do receive text messages from you, for example,
Yeah, we text all the time
but they're
about
not work
housewives.
related, right?
Yeah.
And we even set that boundary of like, we do work together. We have a working relationship, but we also have a friendship. So we text about non-work
Life.
things
Yeah.
and we Slack when it's something work related. If we were to cross the boundary of like in my text messages over the weekend, you being like, oh my gosh, we have to do this thing for work, blah, blah, like you would never,
I would never.
you would know that like, oh, if I need to say something about work, I actually need to go over to Slack and put that message in there, even if you're like literally texting me about
100%. There are many times where I have slacked you about this and then
1 second later
open my
you're texting
messages
me.
and be like, have you tried this new thing yet? You know?
Right. Have you seen Barbie yet or whatever?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, and so I think, we've set those boundaries very clearly with each other so that we're not feeling resentment of like, oh my gosh, like,
what
I
is
don't
it
even
going to
want
be?
to open my text messages because it's going to be work something and maybe I'm going to forget. It's also like, I'm going to forget and I'm not going to do it. Whereas like if it's my work channel, then I'm in the right mindset when I open it,
100%. Yeah.
So I think that, it's okay if people have your text, because maybe you are also friends outside or you do other things outside of work. But I think you still need to draw that very clear boundary and expectation of where should this person communicate with work related things? When are you going to be able to respond to them? Because even like if Emily slacks me something over the weekend, she knows that there is the potential, more than likely, it's not even going to get responded to until Monday.
Yeah.
But if she were to text me, she might think that I'm ignoring it, right? If I don't respond until Monday. I think that texting like on phones kind of has that expectation. But if I had a work phone and she was texting me on my work phone, I think I would also set the expectation that like, I don't work on weekends. So you may not receive a text back or a call back on this until Monday. And so I think that as a manager, as a leader, I think it's really important for Bob to get really clear with his team on where does he want that communication to live and what are the boundaries and expectations in terms of response time and weekends, nights, etc.
Working hours, essentially.
Working hours for everyone, not just him, but like, does he have the expectation that they're working on the weekend?
Yeah.
If no, then he even needs to say like, why are you working right now? Like, why are you like, it's the weekend. I need you to unplug or whatever. Like set that boundary so that people aren't feeling like, oh, the way to get ahead here is to work on it. Because you may have come from a culture where like that was the way to get ahead.
100%.
Maybe it's not here,
Yeah.
But I think that this is a common probably challenge for people. So I think it's really important to like, you have to have those conversations though, versus just like letting it happen, letting it slide. Like, oh, when is he going to stop? He's not. If you don't set the boundary.
Because you've demonstrated that you will answer him, so he's now learned this behavior. So you have to he has to unlearn it.
Yeah.
I mean, our team works the wonkiest hours. Some of us work at like 5 a.m. Some of us are working at midnight. But we all know if I send a Slack message before 9 a.m. and after 5 p.m., there is zero expectation of a response until the working day, which would be the next day in most cases. Sometimes you get an answer, but more often than not, I schedule my messages to send during working hours so that because I know if I open it and I see a message, I'll answer it because I have no self-control. And if it's not that big, if it's not that deep, then you can talk to me about it on Monday. The only exception I have, is about if there was like an issue, if he was supposed to get paid and he didn't get paid. Like,
I was just going to say, like, I think the other piece is we don't have a lot of like urgency or like emergencies in our business because we've established that
nothing is an emergency.
Yeah, like nothing is really an emergency. If something was an emergency, then I guess someone would probably call me and then but it's got to be a real freaking emergency. No one's ever called me, okay, is what I'm saying.
Right.
Like no one's ever called me for an emergency.
No.
like, I don't know, something would have to be burning to the ground for them to be like, it's Saturday at 9 p.m. Like, this is bad.
Right. We
You
have a
know, like,
physical store and it's on fire. You need
yeah.
to, okay, that's an
Or like
emergency.
maybe even like a PR crisis, you know, like
Right.
someone said
Like
something.
someone is definitely calling Lizzo right now.
Yeah, exactly. Like, this is bad. Like, you need to do damage control or something. You need to be
Yeah.
brought in on this because it's your business. But other than that, I don't really get like emergency phone calls. But that's another thing, is like maybe your team also doesn't understand like what is important and urgent versus like this can wait till Monday, and like
Yeah.
where is the space for us to have these conversations, because this doesn't even sound necessary. Asking about his paycheck,
Like you would know that on Friday. If most people get paid on Fridays, or on like the 5th and the 20th at the halls on the weekend, you get paid on Friday. You would know during a working hour that you did not get paid. So you can sort
it doesn't
that
even
out.
say like, oh, that he didn't.
No, I know. I'm
like
just
something
giving
about the
him
paycheck,
some grace.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And then some sort of comment about not being able to get leads, and then ending the text like, do you want me to fail? Like, first of all, there's like a lot of
That's a lot
happening.
of aggression. Like,
Yeah.
reel that in.
That like is not a text message conversation. So this person might also feel like they don't have the space to come to you for like mentorship conversations, growth and development conversations. They're also new. So I think I also want you to have specific like time for communication, that they can communicate these things to you in a safe space, not like like they're having like panic thoughts on Saturday afternoon that they like,
Right.
you know, like, do you want me to fail? I'm not gonna be able to do a job here.
Yeah.
Like,
or my paycheck was lower and I'm
like,
not getting enough leads. And, you know, it sounds like a crisis of
like, this is not something that's like randomly coming up. This is something that he probably had insight on last week, but maybe didn't have a space to discuss it with you. So I think we need maybe some either one-to-ones happening on a more consistent basis. If he's not communicating in those one-to-ones, then we got to figure out why. Like, what are you using those one-to-ones for if you're not talking about this kind of stuff, right? Like, but it sounds like he was kind of in a panic, and I want him to have an avenue to be able to talk to you about how he can be successful in this role, right? We want to be doing that proactively so that they're not coming to you being like, I feel like I'm going to fail, you know?
I feel like you want me to fail. Yeah.
Yeah, we should be having those conversations proactively so that you're not getting texts on Saturday, but you should never be getting texts on Saturday. So
no.
anyways.
So Bob needs to open up a new communication channel, whether that's whatever tool, app. There's
maybe you already have one and you just need to communicate. That's where we discuss things as a team.
Yeah. Then you need to create working hours, and maybe you have the type of industry where those do stretch. Maybe it's still 7, you know, or that kind of thing. You need to set working hours where people can expect responses within those times, or like by the end of that working day. And then anytime that someone texts you outside of those hours, you either like don't respond, or you respond with like a copy and pasted, I don't respond.
This needs to be communicated
sent in the Slack channel, and I will get back to it during working hours. The end. Just over and over and over again until they learn, because you've shown them that it's okay. And now they're going to be annoyed that it's not okay anymore, because now you're making their life harder. And they're just going to have to deal. And the only way for them to learn is if you stop engaging.
Yeah.
Good luck, Bob.
Good luck, Bob. Also, I listened to like one of our clips on like on Reels or whatever.
Yeah.
And my voice is so terrible. I don't know how you all listen to me. Like I sound like I have vocal fry or something. Why?
I think we both are very millennial women. So we do have.
What is that?
And we say like a lot, and we do have a hair of vocal fry.
Like, what is my real voice though?
But we grew up in the age of.
But yours doesn't sound like that. Just mine sounds like that.
No, mine also sounds like that.
Oh.
To me. So I think that's also human nature, to hate your own voice.
All right. Well, if anyone out there wants to tell me how to eliminate my vocal fry, like I thought maybe if I a little more, it would like go away, but it didn't.
No. Hydrate. I mean, I don't hear vocal fry. I just hear that we both definitely talk like millennial women, which we are.
Yeah.
So, which is fine.
I just like when I listen to it, I'm like, how do I even have any friends? You know?
Don't talk about yourself like that. Don't talk about my friend like that, okay?
Yeah, you're right.
Thanks,
Thanks, Barbie.
You're welcome. Okay, well, that's all we have for today. That's today's episode.
I just want you to know that this episode was sponsored by Starbucks. Not really, but
I wish.
Had a half calf today.
Oh, you needed it, hey, after a late night at the movies?
Late night at the
6:45 showing.
It was a 6:40 showing, yeah. Didn't get home until 8:50, so
that's bedtime. It's
but
past
then I had to like
bedtime.
recap the movie. My brother and his wife and my niece are staying with us for a few days.
Yeah.
So that's why we got to go to the movie. They watched the kids
Mhm.
while we went. But we got home and they were like, they had already seen it. So they're like, tell us everything.
Yeah.
Let's recap. So, didn't get to bed until
slumber
10.
party.
And then I had to take it to the doctor this morning. And then I was like, I have a training later. I was like, you know what? I need a little pick-me-up.
I feel you.
But not a full pick-me-up.
No. Just a half.
Oh,
a little
full
boost.
calf.
No. I don't think I've seen you ever do a full calf anymore.
Yeah, I was gonna say not since I quit caffeine.
Did you do at our team retreat? Did you have a full coffee that one morning after Coco was up all night?
Yes, I did.
Yeah. But I mean,
it's literally like crack when I have like, I'm like, oh my God, it's so good. Like it feels so good when you have caffeine after you've not had caffeine in like so long. And I can see like why I was addicted to it. I'm like, oh, just one more. Like, but if I had one more, I would be bouncing off the walls until 4 a.m. now. So I can't do that. And I know that if I have it, I can't have it like 2 days in a row because then I'll start getting addicted again.
Right.
And I know that it will give me a crash, but when you're on the high, wow, does it feel great? I can see how people like cocaine. It's like, feels good. Like it feels good when you're on the high.
Yeah. I'll never know because I don't think I'll ever be able to quit my one coffee a day.
Oh, I thought you were going to say you wouldn't. You'll never know what it's like to do cocaine.
I mean, I'll never know that either. But at this stage, I think that ship has sailed for me. Yeah. I can't quit the one coffee. I've tried so many times. But the withdrawal is not.
It's hard.
It's too hard right now. Even though I only have one coffee a day. It
really, like, you don't realize how much it affects you until you quit that one a day.
Right. I feel like one a day is also okay. Like I'm like, okay. I can, that's fine. I don't feel as if I need to quit it because it's one coffee a day and I really enjoy it.
I'm just scared. Like I would do that, but I'm like scared for getting re-addicted.
Totally. Well, I'm addicted. You will. And every time you talk about quitting caffeine, I'm like, well, if Adrian's quitting caffeine, I should quit caffeine because everything you do, I want to do too. But I can't do that one. Sorry. You're on your own, kid.
Yeah.
Because you're just like one of the coolest people I know. I'm like, well, if she's doing it, then it's probably the right thing to do. But it's just, sorry, can't do it.
It's not the right or the wrong thing to do. It's just a thing to do,
Yeah.
Well.
Okay. Well,
see you next Tuesday.
We'll see you next Tuesday.